Welcome to Unapologetic Me, not the place for motivational noise, but the place where power gets examined, questioned, and stripped of performance. Today's guest has spent over 2 decades inside boardrooms, behind closed doors, and in moments where leadership wasn't theoretical, it was personal. She doesn't train leaders to sound confident, she creates the conditions where the truth they already carry can finally be spoken clearly, responsibly, and without hiding. She facilitated C suites across continents. She's disrupted authority with a single precise question. She's watched power grow uncomfortable and stayed in the room anyway. But today, she's not here as a facilitator. She's not here as the guide. She's here as the woman behind the presence. This episode isn't about success, it's about what leadership demands from you before it offers anything back. If you're expecting polish, this isn't it. If you're expecting honesty, you're exactly where you need to be. This is Unapologetic Me, and our guest today is ANSHU Arora, who is a global leadership facilitator, executive coach, and an organization consultant with over 27 years of experience working at the intersection of power, presence, and decision making. She's partnered with C suite leaders and senior teams across industries and continents, helping them navigate authority, complexity, and transformation without performance or pretense. She is also the author of Candid Conversations with Anshu Arora and the host of a podcast by the same name, where she explores leadership through honesty, structure, and psychological depth. Her work from the boardroom to the global stage challenges conventional ideas of gravitas, replacing control with clarity and polish with presence. With this, Anshu, welcome to the episode, and I'm so thrilled to record it with you.
Absolutely my pleasure, Ekta. Thank you for having me here.
All right, so we're going to start. And my first question to you is um, from what we've researched, we realize that you've never been silent, but you've always been deliberate. Early on, what did you learn about when to speak and when discernment carried more power than immediacy?
Well, Ekta, I think it's after a period of time that you realize that how important this part is, because initially when you begin your career in your earlier years, you're almost just shooting all the time.
Yeah.
But then after a period of time, you realize the power of being observant. I think that's a skill I've acquired over a period of time, and deliberately worked on this particular skill. So I'm very mindful when I'm in a room to read the room, so to say, and to realize the change in tone, the change in gestures, or if there's been that little ahs and ums before the ask is put forward.
Yeah.
So I've been very, very mindful and observant of that part. And basis that, I think I realized what's the game changer is a delayed response.
Okay.
So instead of, you catch on to it, you take a moment to compose it in your head and then you let it out. That has got me brilliant results, so to say. I've had instances where I've redrafted it over in my head. I've redrafted a change of a word somewhere, and that has got me the impact. So I think the moment I see that there is readiness for feedback or the input that I'm going to give,
Yeah.
that's when I lead on.
Perfect. Before leadership was recognized in you, what part of yourself had to become legible to the room before it could be respected?
Well, I'll say that I've always been vociferous, always. As a child, as a teenager, I was always the one who's raising a hand and saying, I want to do this first. So I think I lived with that trait ever since I was a child. Uh, but I think in this area of work, what I have realized is I intentionally wanted to be visible and I work towards it. And also, I think over a period of time, each one of us has a style.
Yeah.
So I realized that I get fed up, I get bored and tired of discussing a problem. then rediscussing a problem, and then rediscussing a problem. So my solution orientedness was what I think caught on really. So I was always interested in, okay, I've heard your problem, I've made my notes, and you're reiterating the problem. I got it. So let's get to discuss solutions. So the game changer here, and the visibility that I was seeking and that actually, made that niche was 100% solution strategy and solution based approach. So it's always that one point. Uh,
Got it.
yeah, I couldn't do with rediscussion of problems.
All right, tell us, was there a moment early in your career when you realized, well, I know this room will hear me, but it may not necessarily hold me?
Okay. You've taken me about 20 years back.
Well, I tried.
So I'm 48 now. And I think when I was 27 years old, it's a very interesting, and it's funny you should bring this up because it was actually a game changer for me. So when I was 27, I was working with Asia's largest corporate training firm then, and I used to deliver workshops. And so my boss, faked my profile in terms of changed my age.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 27 and I was to deliver a workshop to vice presidents. So this was a group of
Hmm.
a big Alcobev organization, and I was to deliver a workshop. And the entire group was vice presidents all across the globe, and I had to deliver a session. And she told me that I've sent your profile, okay, just for that you're not 27, you're 33. And I was like, but I'm not 33, and excuse me. And she said, I've changed it. I said, but why? She said, are you nuts? These vice presidents are not going to have a 27-year-old tell them what to do.
I feel like she'd read the room even before you did.
I think she misread it.
Yeah?
Ekta, that I was never worried. I mean, I was really confident of my homework. I was confident of the work I carried. I was never worried about this. She infused this fear in me by
Hmm.
bringing this point up. And
Hmm.
and I said, no way, I'm not going to do it this.
Hmm.
And so I said, I need to open this session a little differently, And I doubled up my homework, Ekta.
That's
I
the thing.
doubled up what I had to offer. I rechecked, I researched harder, and I hit the floor, I think 3x more prepared than I always was. And
Hmm.
I invest in a lot of preparation, whatever I do. So when I hit the floor, I told them very clearly that I'm not here to tell you what you know.
Hmm.
I'm here to tell you about something that I've studied very well in my career. I'm here to tell you about things you don't know about, which is only a
Hmm.
small portion. And then we're going to marry your expertise to what I'm bringing to the floor. And I think that became the game changer. And in our organization, there used to be these feedback scores. So anything less than a 4.5 on a 5 was, they used to say the program has bombed. So,
Okay.
so I got a 4.89, and I came back and I said, so all I want to say is that I've never had that fear because
Hmm.
I invested in preparation. So even if it was the hardest, thing to deliver, but I was absolutely sure, Ekta, that if I've done my homework, I'll sail through. And I think I never was worried until she posed this whole thing about 27, 33 VPs. But
Do you think
anyway,
do you think it came from experience in how things have been in the past, but then you changed the trajectory and you showed that how much of a difference can a well-researched and prepared individual bring to the table? Forget about the age; it's about the acumen and the caliber that speaks.
isn't that true? Look at
It is.
yourself.
Yeah, but I
Just,
mean,
just look at
also,
yourself. You look at, I'm saying in appreciation, Ekta, look at yourself. Isn't that true? Okay. I bring to this floor, I'm going to complete 28 years in July of my work. And we're talking. And
yeah.
I am delighted to have this conversation. And believe you me, I've been excited about this ever since we spoke. So
Yes.
it is the passion you bring on the floor. It is the commitment. It's how much you own it that makes all the difference. And people
100%.
are not so bad. I'm being very honest. People give you space. People
Yeah.
give you a chance. People walk with you. It isn't as tight as she kind of posed it for me. But
I
anyway,
think,
yeah,
oh, I'm just kind of really enjoying that we've covered so many aspects in the first segment itself, and also how we say that we talk about the glass ceilings and we say that it's incredibly difficult, but it's also very refreshing to learn from your conversation that it's about what you bring to the table, amount of the hard work that you do, and there are people who are supportive,
yeah,
who give you, who navigate, and they create opportunities for you.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
All
It's
right,
always
so
good.
great. Taking you to a tangent slightly differently, you said gravitas isn't about dominance or volume.
Mm.
So, when did you stop performing leadership and start inhabiting it?
Okay, so Ikta, in our profession of coaching, we depend a lot on psychometric tools.
Hmm.
So obviously, we don't know an individual who we're going to coach. So there are a lot of other research parameters like a 360 analysis, etc., that we do. But what we also depend on some very solid psychometric analysis. And when you're conducting a psychometric analysis for someone, the trick is that you learn the tool so well, and in the process of certification you run it over yourself. It's run on
Yeah.
you, right? And so when you you pull your hair apart and you're like, I'm going to tell this person to mend this, and ouch, what am I doing, so
Yeah.
it's like, so early on, I was my psychometric tool said that my drive
Yeah.
was steering the graph and piercing high, and my amiability was dipping to almost a zero.
Wow.
And so because I was driven by this passion, I had to do it. Get on, everyone. I'm going to do what I got to do, and I'll achieve what I have to achieve. What are the roadblocks? Remove it all. And like that go getter. And I'm here to set things right, and I'll clear all that comes in the way, and da 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 da. And in this process I realized that I'm running very fast.
Hmm.
Running very fast. I was fearless, but that also made me alone. And
Okay.
my graph pulled out this result for me, which said that I'm going to be a great driver,
Hmm.
but I'll stand alone,
Hmm.
and I need to take people along.
Hmm.
And that is where in my head, I changed the definition of leadership in my head, because I always believed, Ekta, that leaders, are high drive people, and they drive goals. That was my
Yes.
definition.
Hmm.
As an
Hmm.
amateur, that was my definition.
Hmm.
And I changed that to a leader, a driver drives people towards
Hmm. Hmm.
goals. And I flipped that, and I
Hmm.
flipped my effort. I have intentionally worked on holding back,
Okay.
allowing people in. I have deliberately I've chosen my battles, so to say, that okay, I'm going to lose this one because I need to learn to follow some people
Hmm.
sometimes.
Hmm.
So for me, gravitas was about that grace where I'm able to take people along and lead them,
Hmm.
rather than being that, leader who's walking all alone. So for me, gravitas definition changed, and I thought that a tad bit sensibility in terms of people factor would help. And actually that then bent me towards coaching as a profession as well.
Perfect. You've answered so beautifully. I had chills when you were mentioning about each and everything and how then the story flipped, and because you realize what is it that you wanted to fine tune in your script. But so very nicely answered. But I have to tell you, the next one is very close to my heart. Tell
Okay.
me, have you ever been labeled too much simply because you were exact, clear, and unwilling to dilute your point?
You call the show unapologetic. I was unapologetically too much, Ekta. I was in the
We brought the
face.
right person.
I was in the face, and so I do a lot of experiential learning workshops. So we create simulations, and what we call the untamed behavior kind of comes
Yeah.
out. The
Yeah.
moment that untamed behavior comes out, I used to like it's like the guns out and da, 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 you know, I was that much too much. All right.
Okay.
So go back to the last question. I said my drive was, you can
Yeah.
put the graph up so you can understand. I
Yeah.
wasn't mincing words. I was like, it's black, it's black. So it was always that. And there was no mincing of words. Again, the realization had already started to
Sinking.
come up. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I realized that I was blocking people. I
Okay.
wasn't I wasn't helping them change. I wasn't uh you can hit if you hit too hard, your blows too hard at the first go, you break it. But the
Hmm.
idea is to reshape it. So
Hmm.
I changed that. I have in work towards bringing that too much to just about much, because I can't say I'm like poised. I don't say what no, I'm sorry. I still do that because that's essential to my character, to who I am. But I've realized that that's not the purpose. The purpose is to tweak it. The purpose is to help that person realize, and I'm no one to mend. I am there for a moment of realization, as in that's what my profession was supposed to do. And I
Hmm.
was blocking people with that too much, so I've always been too much. I changed from too much to bit much.
This
Now,
is a good one.
yeah, and I've come now to the power of articulation. I've come to the power of prioritization of the right words. I'm getting better. I'm getting better, but there are bouts of too much, let me tell you.
We're loving the way stages are changing with every realization at every stage, which
Yeah.
is how we grow as an individual, right? I think for many, that stage of realization also doesn't come. That's why the growth is stuck. But really appreciate the way you've shared all aspects of how you've grown and realized in your journey.
Ekta, there's a point here that, when you work for an organization, there are
Yeah.
always people, moving around your head, monitoring you, giving you your appraisals, and your performance, your salaries, your movements, your appreciations are all dependent, and somebody else is doing it, you know, for you.
Yeah.
I set up my organization 20 years ago.
Hmm.
I've been running Metamorphosis now for 20 years. And I put this responsibility on myself right from the beginning. I put two things up for myself. One, that I will add one qualification pertaining to my profession every year. I've
Okay.
managed, I do that every year. And if I don't do it, then I do two the next year, but I do one every year. And I've been doing that. And I have been always finding one way, one method to evaluate or to better what I have been doing, whether that's undergoing analysis or reviewing the way I received feedback. Because I took that as a responsibility that I have towards myself, because nobody's going to push me to learn more. Nobody's going to push me to change something. My appraisal will always be 5 on 5 as long as I'm reviewing it, right? So I had to look at it. So it's very interesting you brought that up, but it was the responsibility of the choice I made, Ekta, that I had to do it that way.
Perfect. Tell us what's the most dangerous myth corporate leadership still holds about women, especially in positions of power. What do you think?
About women,
Yes?
nothing. You know,
Yeah?
yeah. I want to tell you something that's truly my own.
Let's go.
Ekta, I think it's overhyped. A true
Okay.
leader, it's a true leader doesn't care.
Okay.
A true leader doesn't care about the gender of the person who's talking to that leader. I have learned this over. 27 years, it's always, it's not, it's more in a woman's head than in a man's head. And let me tell you very clearly, this is my experience of it. People may think, oh, I've been treated like that, oh, this happened to me, oh, that happened to me. But I'm really telling you, in 27 years, it has always been content over gender. Always.
Got it.
It's always been metal over clothing.
Hmm.
Really. People have told me, oh, is this the right? Be yourself, and make sense when you open your mouth. And that's that. And I've
That's
always seen that it's the subject matter expertise that has been the game changer. You know what you're talking about. Stay authentic. I don't think gender matters to a true leader. Yeah, all sorts make the world. But
yeah,
also, I think here, how you carry, how you
yeah,
conduct yourself, dare not has been my, you don't come and talk to me, that part.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
I've
about
never I've never allowed opened that. Let's talk business, let's talk work, let's talk facts, let's talk content. What's that got to do with gender?
hmm.
I've never entertained that, and I've never allowed that to be a criteria of discussion, and I haven't had it. I mean, so I'm perhaps not uh someone who can answer that. I mean, that's my answer rather.
Yeah. No, well answered. Um, all right. Tell us in your experience, although we've touched upon the topic of gravitas, but I still want to know, is gravitas built more through restraint or refusal?
None. Grace.
Grace.
And the grace, and I think I'll top it up with the courage to be authentic. I'll top it again. I think value system. And I say it so many times, know what you're talking about. And if you don't know, just shut up. It's always been that. So I think gravitas is built through the grace with which you exhibit that courage to be you, to be authentic. And I think that's how I've seen it. I've not seen it moving around any restraint or refusal. No.
All right, great. All right, next segment that we're going to touch. First question goes here. You've coached leaders through resistance for years.
Mm.
What internal resistance took you the longest to confront?
You mean my own
Yes.
restrictions?
Did you feel that you had some internal resistance, and while you're coaching all of these leaders through some self awareness, then you worked on yours and you realized that I can overcome it?
I get involved. I get way too involved. I get attached, and somewhere that has been a passion statement or the human factor that has worked in my favor, but it has also not worked. I get way too attached. In fact, I used to run this podcast, and I've taken a pause because I got so involved in the scripting stage of it itself that I tend to internalize all of that too much. So that's my flaw there.
All right, okay. Tell us, when organizations hire you,
Mhm.
what truth are they often circling around, even before they're ready to face it? If you can share without naming one or two instances or anything that you've realized.
Um, you know, the fact of the matter is that organizations refrain from being the ones who tell the truth. And they want an outsider, a consultant,
To
to
say to
do
them.
to say
Okay.
that. You know, and that's how we get hired. But I don't mean it in the bad sense. I can understand that, it's true for a household as well. Like there's so many times our parents have approached an uncle, aunt, or an elder sister or someone that you talk to her and she will then listen to you. We've always had that. Anybody who's who's too close for comfort, their feedbacks or their inputs don't matter. We don't take it that seriously. Perhaps it's that thought.
Mm.
And also, I think there's another thought that um, they don't want to jeopardize a lot of things on the line.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a relationship, it's a
Mm.
long-term association, and it's like the fear of conflict.
Mm.
So it's best told by a third person. And that's how we've been running business now for
Kind of
20.
works for everyone, right? Like we said, kind of works for everyone.
Yeah, works for everyone. And I think it's a certain level of sensitivity there.
Mm.
It's not a flaw. It's not a. I mean, that's the dynamics of the situation, so to say.
Got it. Okay, tell us, have you ever outgrown a room that still wanted your expertise but not your evolution?
Um, no, not yet, and I hope never.
Mm.
Ekta, I think every time. I mean, I don't want to be snooty, but I want to be very honest here that um, I love what I do. I really, really love what I do. And I'm committed to it.
Mm.
I deliver it, I deliver what I do with the brain and the heart together. But
Mm.
I cannot deny the fact that every experience has led me to learn something. And the
Mm.
moment I'll get into that mindset, Ekta, um, I'm finished, really. And especially when you're on your own,
Yeah.
you have to be very careful. So as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's a founder of an organization who looks at these things from a big picture perspective,
Yeah.
I hope I'm never in that state, and I'll try I never go there. So I
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
All right. The next segment talks more on the emotional side.
Okay.
First question. What does leadership quietly take from you emotionally without acknowledgement or compensation?
Take from me, take away from, I mean, extract
Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
Like I said, because I get too involved.
Tested. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it takes. You know, I get disheartened if if success. I'll just share a small example. We worked
Yeah.
very hard with a coachee, which is very recently. We finished it last year, and we do a lot of work in the pre coaching stage before we start coaching. And I spend a lot of time with that individual and I try to map whether this person is ready to accept feedback or not. Is this person going to partner with me for that coaching journey or not? I spend a lot of time there and I look at various methods of consent. And it is after that I start the coaching journey.
Got it.
So I spent a lot of time with this gentleman, and very young guy, very creative. Uh, I mean, bizarre. He's very unique guy, very interesting. I loved it. It was a challenging assignment.
Hmm.
We spent about a month going back and forth. He was in Bangalore, I was in Gurgaon, and I used to travel to Bangalore. I did a lot of in-person meetings, da 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 da. And then finally, after a month and a half, we said, okay, we're ready to begin this journey. We
Hmm.
started the journey. And so there were supposed to be 6 sessions spread over 3 months. We finished 4 sessions. And suddenly, I'm not getting this email response from him, for an assignment that he had to complete. So the typical route was to go to HR and say, hey, I'm not hearing from this guy. Can you help me? So I got to know that he just put in his papers and he left the organization. And
Okay.
so what it takes away from me is the question that you asked. I think I was so heartbroken. I walked like a zombie next 2 days, Ekta, because I said, how could I not read that? And where did I miss that one point?
But did you ever get a chance to ask him like what happened and
No, no,
there's no
no.
point?
Usually when these contracts end, then and suddenly like this, and he left the organization, so it wasn't.
Hmm.
We weren't at. It was a privacy clause that we couldn't have.
Hmm.
Obviously. So I mean, I'm so it I get that's what I meant. I get attached. So those 2 days I was walking like a zombie, and then they said, "How would you like your payments to be processed for the leftover sessions?" I'm like, "Payments? Oh yeah, the payments." And now I'm leaving it. I'm like, "But what happened to him? Why did he not accumulate the courage to tell me, look, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I don't want to do this anymore because I have other priorities." And there were a lot of things happening in the background. But till many days, Ekta, I was like, okay. And my finance team kept telling me, excuse me, tell them that we need the money, but I couldn't get over. So I still have to perhaps overcome this, that I get it just takes everything from me. What does it take? It takes everything from me. And I have
Mhm.
to reset the button and then say, okay, work, get back. So
Great. Okay, tell us when you're holding clarity for everyone else, who holds space for your doubt?
I always go back to the book, Ekta. I always go back to my homework. I always go back to preparation. I am a okay. You laugh at me. You really laugh at me if I show you something. I do a lot of homework, huh? So my
Okay.
table, if I can tilt the lid, you'll see my table's filled with paper, 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 because everything has to be prepared. So I have all your questions on the side somewhere, the introduction. And I'm like, okay, everything's ready. I always go back to the homework. You didn't ask me for this. You're not, you're like, but, and especially because I write, I'm an author. So I have to write to know it. It sits in my head when I write. So I feel,
Francie, you were saying that do not laugh. I'm feeling very good about the fact that you did so much of homework, went through the questions, jogged down your thoughts, because sometimes we just feel like, oh, we'll wing it, we'll just answer it. But it also brings immense amount of respect towards your work culture. See, you're saying it enough. So this was the podcast, and I'm just imagining with clients how much of a hard work you must be sitting and understanding and hours put into every client.
yeah, as we say, as a speaker coach, when I coach CEOs and CXOs when they have to go on international platforms, I tell them that the person who you look at as a great impromptu speaker, who's had these, I mean, oh my God, look at his expressions. I love his pauses. Do you know he worked 3 months on it?
Oh my God.
That's the crux. So every time I'm lost, or my north is homework,
Hmm.
and it has, knock on wood, never failed me. Homework has sailed me through. It has saved me. I have always read something somewhere which somehow somebody else has not read.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to that life-saving situation, pop comes up, that answer, and it helps me through. So I invest and I go back to the book always.
All right, perfect. Anshu, tell us, have there been moments when you wanted to step out of being the strong one, but simply wanted to be the honest one instead?
I Ikta, can I add these two and say I've always tried to be strong to be honest.
Great.
You
Oh,
need to be
that's
strong to be
good.
honest, and I think I've done that. Because really it takes a lot of courage. You see everything, you see that it's not the easiest thing to sit
Yeah,
in front of a CEO who's running a 400 crore, some many thousand crores and billions of dollars of business, to tell them, dude, I'm sorry, you set this up, but this is not working. I'm
yeah,
like, excuse me. So it takes a lot of courage. It takes, like I said, takes a lot of homework. But it is actually, you need to have that strength to speak the truth. And
Mhm.
that's how I look at it, very honestly. That's how I do.
Great. I'm learning so much from you in this session. Taking you to a different segment now. Here goes the first question. You believe that structure is freedom.
Okay.
What kind of chaos do undisciplined leaders create, often without realizing it?
Don't start me on that, please. Please don't start me on that.
I
You
kind
know,
of knew that we had stories, so let's explore it.
yeah. Uh, you know, it's not just being unorganized, it's about them being unorganized and believing that they're organized.
Hmm.
That's another game altogether.
But
And
that's why you were there to tell them that that's not the case.
he's going to sign my check or she's going to sign my check, Ekta. Can I tell
Sure.
you something really funny? So we were doing this coaching assignment, and the head of the department, okay, the head of HR was also under review, and
Okay.
the head of HR was also the sponsor of this whole coaching assignment.
Okay.
And you're talking about being unorganized and the chaos and the, the gaps, so to say. And so this is back then when there was, okay, I don't think you were even born then, Ekta, but there's something called a file manager, which is not an app, which is not a thing on laptop. It's a human being. So there used to be a human being, Ekta, in times when dinosaurs existed.
Oh,
And this guy or this person was supposed to do proper filing because those days audits were very critical. So the job or the KRA of this individual was to put all files in place and to be very organized and do everything well. So this head HR told me, Anshu, this guy is really good. I see him, he's very dedicated, very, he's not earning much, but let's do his analysis also. And then we'll tell him, he'll get some tips on how to get better. And you know. So I was like, as a how sweet, very nice. Suddenly, my respect for the HR head goes up really high.
mm,
And now comes the moment of truth.
mm.
The reports are out. The
Okay.
psychometric tests have been done. And now the HR, from HR head till this gentleman who's a file manager, all reports are out.
Okay.
Two facts emerge. This gentleman who's supposed to put files together, Ekta, his drive is higher than the drive of head of HR, and his analytic ability is 2x as compared to that of head of HR.
Now, what do you say?
I and head of HR should sign my bill, Ekta. Please, excuse me, he's gonna pay me my checks coming
Well,
up.
the head of HR only asked you to work on this file
Yes,
manager's file
yes.
only.
So that's what I'm talking about. It's not just that there is a chaos, whether it's bad decisions or it's being unorganized or it's being lack of drive or it's not being so analytical and sitting in a position of high strategic position, so to say. But it's about being, the sad part is, Ekta, when that becomes a blind spot.
Yeah.
And how do I hit that then?
Yeah.
When this podcast ends, then I'll slowly tell you in your ear what I did, how I handled that. But I'll tell you a nasty thing we did. So
Yeah.
we prepared the reports,
Yeah.
submitted the reports, and we did not submit the head of HR report. I did. And he asked me and said, Anshu, where's my report? I was like, dude, you're not going to pay me if I showed you your report. I was like,
Yeah.
was it supposed to assess you? No, you didn't ask me to assess you. It was only for your team. And he looked at me like, so yes, I've been carrying this flag of honesty, truth, and everything, but there have been chances and situations where we've had to be meticulous and clever and a little intelligent because, like I told you, back to the very first question, I had no signs coming from this person that said that this person is ready for feedback. That
Mm,
chaos and unorganized thing was a spot of denial. And he thought that he's there to mend the world.
mm,
The attitude and the reading, and that also emerged in the graph. And we decided to take it slow. In
mm.
fact, later we kind of met him and we shared some inputs from there. But we didn't give him his report because, anyway, that file manager got promoted.
Okay, let's just end it there. All right. Next question. What do most leaders
What the
misunderstand?
next question? Tell me, did you know there existed a human being who had to do the job of a file manager
No, I'm just
coming
going to
in the
pass.
generation? That's what I said.
Because
So
also this while when you were elaborating and explaining, I was like, really? Were there
yeah, it's a
people
human
like
being.
that?
Not anymore. Not anymore. But yes, and that's not many. I'm not that old. I'm only 48. So it's not many donkey years ago. Yeah. But
But
for
like,
you, it may sound like the dinosaur era. Yes. So
no, it's just like I think some of the organizations still continued with the same kind of roles, while some of them took record keeping very, very quickly, and then they morphed as per the trends. But people do follow what comes easy to them and what they've been doing for years.
yeah.
So maybe that's why. All right, moving
That
on.
was that was a very good cover up. Okay. Okay,
Okay,
go.
tell us, what do most leaders misunderstand about storytelling, and how does that misunderstanding dilute their influence?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. Ekta, I'm a certified storyteller and as an author. And do you also know that I'm a human book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, do tell about what is the concept of human book.
So a human book. So it started in Copenhagen, and so what happens is that I have to bring out my real life experiences, and I take one part of those experiences and I title that up. I write that story. It has to be a truthful story. It cannot be fiction.
Mm.
So you pull out a true story based on your life and you title it. Then there are other people also who do that. So let's say there are 5 people who have been shortlisted as to be human books. So then we put on display, so to say, like a book in a rack. By that
Got
I mean that there'll be a profile of mine that will be digitally created, that will be visible on the when people come into the library. Library as in a place where we will sit and meet and talk. And secondly, they will read about me. They will read about the an excerpt of what the book is like the back cover of the book in a way. So you read about that, and then they buy a ticket, and then they say, okay, I want to go to this individual to listen to this story. So
it. Mm.
it's a human. So I will then sit with either one individual or in a group, which is not a very big group, like a 4 or 5 people group. So we sit together and I tell that story. So it's usually time to about 45 minutes or 1 hour. So
Got it.
somewhere in between, I'll like take a pause and this book interacts. So
Got
we have like 10 minutes of interaction time. They can ask questions, and Ekta, it's so interesting that they turn around and they ask you certain questions. You're like, oh, I didn't, while I authored it or when I lived it, I never thought of that perspective.
it.
And it
Yeah.
was, and like I said, then you come back learning yourself and you're like, okay, that's a different perspective. And that's what an author never gets to experience otherwise. You
Yeah.
print a book, it's gone, people read, people interpret, and you don't know what they interpret. And in this way, you live. It's truly your story coming to life.
I mean, imagine you have lived it, but somebody else brings a perspective which is absolutely new to you, and you're stunned because you're
Yeah.
like, I was the one who was living this experience, but I never really thought of it, or I never had an
and
idea that it
sometimes
existed.
and sometimes like, there's such questions like, so Anshu, did you think of doing that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I didn't think of doing that. Really? And suddenly that 10 minute of discussion changes route. And now
Yeah.
we're discussing, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Why do you say that? And then the discussion goes there. And then
Yeah.
you say, okay, cut, let's
Fascinating.
finish the story, as to how it went. So very interesting experience. So sorry, go back to your question one more time.
So I'm going to say the question again. It was, what do most leaders misunderstand about storytelling, and how does that misunderstanding dilute their influence?
Um, I think it's changing. It's
Hmm.
changing. And it's changing drastically. In fact, if you know that Harvard Business Review did put storytelling as a top skill for 2026 for leaders. So it's changing drastically, and this review has helped in big time. But they do not realize the power of a story and how a storytelling method can actually help you drive change,
Really?
change perspectives, bring in a perspective that they never thought of without being intimidating.
Okay.
It's so amazing. And in fact, people have been driving big agendas through storytelling now. Uh, and it's changing big time, and I think it will catch on. But if they don't believe in it, to answer your question,
Yeah.
they dilute the power of
Hmm.
personal space. They dilute the power of being one to one with the people that they work along with. And if they can catch it, they can really use it as a great, bonding
Yeah.
and connecting platform.
Great. You worked with so many leaders. So my next question to you is, do you think leadership today is suffering because people want applause instead of alignment?
Yeah, of course, there are so many.
Yeah?
Everybody wants applause,
Okay.
and they think alignment is difficult to get, so they keep working on alignment. But tell me, who doesn't want applause, Ekta?
Hmm.
And in fact, it is so disheartening if you don't get the applause. But
Hmm.
off late, Ekta, I'm really telling you that it's changing. Really, it's changing. And I want people who are listening to this podcast, especially the youngsters, to know it's not as sad or tough, and it is more sensitive now. People
Hmm.
are listening. People are accommodating. People are. These initiatives are working, so they are pro appreciation,
Hmm.
they are pro alignment. So yes, difficult, yes, difficult. But like I said, a good leader, an evolved leader, will be very consciously working towards this. So I'm happy that I'm surrounded by, and understand that it is these kind of leaders, Ekta, who will invest in initiatives like coaching or a
Hmm.
progressive coaching, where you're training a leader to be a leader before he or she takes on the role. So I want youngsters like you, and people who are stepping into this phase of career, please believe that it's changing for good, it's getting better.
Amazing. The next segment touches on the aspect of power and discernment. So the
Okay.
first question here is, after decades of work, what no longer impresses you in leadership?
um uh, Being power hungry, it turns me off.
Yeah.
uh, People sensitivity wins my heart. I've met so many leaders, Ekta, who I've seen that they want they look at them first, some of them, and under them, people who are designated under their position, there's so many bright, sharp youngsters who can get to god knows where, but
Mm,
if they see this as a bottleneck. I interact with so many leaders to be who tell me that I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to change this. And what is the bottleneck? Is that one person sitting in a position right above them, who instead of facilitating growth has become a bottleneck and blocking it. So
yeah.
that's something I would really hope that we can change
But
that.
I think I feel like even when people get to that level, this should not really bother them, right? Like we're talking about, they should rather
Funny,
be
no, yeah,
facilitated.
it should not bother, but you will not believe people nearing retirement age get intimidated by a youngster who's just begun his or her career, let's say 10, 12 years
This
experience.
is so surprising. I mean, you've had your run. Now let the other person take the reign, learn from you, teach them, mentor them.
That's how you think. If I tell you, if I open my notes and some of my coaching notes where we record verbatims, Ekta, uh, the ground beneath your feet is going to shake because the verbatims are similar to something like, this is my chair, by the way.
Oh my God.
And you tell me, if somebody tells that to you and you're a youngster trying to segue into a great position and you're enthusiastic passionately piercing ahead, How disheartening would that be? And will you
Yeah.
stay there? So, but no, there are people who still believe in the power of the chair and the power. So it's a turn off for me. I get really turned off, and I
Yeah.
get a little impatient also. I have to really prepare and convince myself to deal with these kind of people a little better.
Like we've been saying, things are changing. So the change is coming slowly and gradually. Just having this awareness that there are good people out there who will still support you, so a handful of them can still be handled.
Yes.
All right, moving on. What behavior instantly signals that someone isn't ready for power, even if they're successful? We spoke about one. Now I'm trying to
Yeah.
look for another one.
As- it's I often use this phrase that the moment you open your mouth, you're placed.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that quick?
Yes, it's that quick. It'll be in the choice of words. It'll be in the eye language. It'll be like, oh, it'll be in the poise. It'll be in it'll be printed all over. You just have to be detached and
Hmm.
observant and stepped back to notice it, which we are trained as professionals to do.
Hmm.
So it's right there, Ekta. It's right there.
Oh, wow, wow. Didn't know it was like that quick a catch.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All
I mean,
right.
in first I will not say, so by that I mean first conversation, evident.
First conversation. Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, tell us if your work were misunderstood, what would you refuse to clarify? Because that thing is not meant for everyone.
Mm. I've had that incident
Yeah.
also. We really tried. The person on the other end refused to walk their distance and misinterpreted the effort, misinterpreted the intention of the effort.
Hmm.
And or I would say misinterpreted the intention of the action.
Hmm.
But sometimes you don't even get a chance to clarify, Ekta. If
Hmm.
if the leader in the position says, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it," then you say, "Okay, then."
Yeah.
And but I think as a person, if I've had a long relationship with the leader, I will take a moment to tell my part of the story. But
Hmm.
when you see it as blocked,
You can't do much.
no, it's best to
Just
be
leave it
quiet
like
and yeah, leave it like that.
got it. Well, the next segment touches on the topic called integrity. So here goes
Okay.
the first question, which is what part of yourself did you protect fiercely even when leadership demanded you to be soften or dilute your point?
I've always worked towards saving my reputation as a professional.
Okay.
Always. Whatever it takes. Whether it means a graceful exit, whether it means, like I told you in that example, that case of the HR head that I explained. So at that moment, a graceful exit was more appropriate because the person wasn't ready to accept.
Hmm.
So I've always I'll tell you a small example. I don't know, are there too many analogies today? Is it all right if I can
Oh, it's going fantastic. Please go on.
Okay, so recently, very recently, in fact, end of last year, uh, there was a client who they asked me. So I was to host their leaders on stage for a big meet, and I was to question them and about a new strategic move that they were going to make in the organization. And they gave me a list of questions to ask. And I read those questions and I said, okay, brilliant questions, but you know what? I don't think it will work.
Okay.
And this show is one day ahead, like 2 days ahead. And I said, I don't think this is going to work. I said, why? I said, this is not going to create any connection. It's going to be a robotic exchange of questions, and you have a there were about 300 people who were going to sit live and listen. And then I said, you have to have that conversational value for 300 people to stick on 1 hour in the room. And they said, but that's going to take a lot of overnight work for you. I said,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll need, then there were going to be five leaders on the stage. And I said, I need to talk to all of these five. And they were in different time zones, in different countries. And they said, you just have 48 hours. I said, I have 48 hours.
Hmm.
And I said, when you'll give me this paper, what you're giving me now, I'll go on the stage. It'll be Anshu Arora asking these questions. Who
Hmm.
on earth am I going to go and justify that I did not write these questions and these were given to me? And I put my reputation at stake as a professional by asking those questions. So I have 48 hours. Just get me time slots. Just help me get time slots with these four people and an hour each with them. I worked round the clock. I spoke with them and I changed the line of questions. We had a standing ovation in that session.
Wow.
So it was difficult, and I had to, like, again going back to, I had to courage the strength to speak the truth, like I
Yeah.
told you earlier. And I said, look, this is not going to work. And said, but you, I said, so that's where I saw my reputation online. And I said, whatever it takes, we have to turn this around, because end of the day, it's going into history, as Anshu Arora said. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well said. Tell me, what are you done explaining?
The consultation I charge. I'm done explaining why I charge what I charge. And I'm done explaining I'm done negotiating. I'm being so sorry. Is it sounding bad? But
No, why?
I've started to write in my proposals. We're extremely sorry. We do not negotiate.
Why would you say that? I mean, you should own. You
Yeah.
should own what you bring to the table, and you're being paid
No,
for your
there
work.
are procurement processes in organizations. So I've written that down to say, don't let your procurement call me. I'm not going to negotiate. I'm done explaining why I charge what I charge. I
Hmm.
charge this much. Full stop.
All right. Okay. To everyone listening, now you know. Now you know what's going to come at the end of the agreement. Okay, Anshu. So this podcast is called Unapologetic Me for a reason. Let me ask you, what are you the most unapologetic about in this very moment?
Being authentic, 100%. That's the only thing I'm striving for. I'm unapologetic about being authentic.
Great. Well, we've come towards the end of the entire recording. I've had so much fun and goosebumps multiple times when you were telling me, explaining me, bringing out your authentic self and sharing such pearls of wisdom and also giving ideas about how things have happened. Your vision is commendable. And I'm so, so glad that we could get some time on your busy, busy schedule and make it work. What are your thoughts on the recording and what do you feel about it?
I'll be very again, I'll be strictly unapologetically honest. Is
Yes.
that, Ekta, I'm so proud to be on a show with a young individual. Not, I keep saying this as if I'm old. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase that. Okay,
Yes.
and don't cut it. It's okay. So
Okay.
I am extremely proud that I'm on the show with a young girl like you, who's chosen a path that's not the regular path that many take. I'm so proud to be on this show with you, Ekta, and all to because you've had the guts to hear your calling, and you've had the guts to take a chance. Uh, I am here because of that audacity with which you've started this. And that is the reason I'm here. And I wish you good luck. And I want to tell you, it may take time, but you'll get there. So don't you dare stop.
Thank you. I don't think anyone's given a feedback that actually brought me chills again. When I was listening, I was like, what's coming up? What's coming up? She's like, I'm going to do my words again. No, but sincerely, I'm so grateful for the time we made at the breakfast table also, and when we had those candid conversations. But it's for the guidance that we get. I think everything just falls beautifully. And even for the days when you have those doubts coming, which surely they do almost every day, but then you sit down and you realize the reason why you started everything in the first place, and then you're like, we'll walk, we'll learn, we'll fumble, but at least it's going to be my journey and it's going to be a beautiful journey then.
Yes, indeed. And believe in that.
Okay, on that note, let's close the episode. For
Thank
everyone listening, this wasn't a leadership conversation. It was a confrontation with power. If you think Gravitas is about control, you missed it. And if you think is about being liked, you're not ready. And if something in this made you feel uncomfortable, well, that's good. That's usually where the clarity begins. This is Unapologetic Me, and today Anshu Arora reminded us that real authority doesn't announce itself, it stands steady and lets the room recalibrate around it. So, Anshu, thank you once again.
you.
And
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank
we're
you.
definitely going to record one more episode sometime soon.
Absolutely. Honored.
Thank you. Bye bye.